Yes, guys. It's Tiago's Father 89 here, and we're back on your screens again with the latest installment of the FAB4 show. Today is the Brentford preview show as Brentford roll into town against Liverpool. Could we be much worse in this fixture than we were against Arsenal? I flipping hope not. But we dissect everything on the other side of this. Roll that intro.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. Got Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of our field goal. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
Yes, and we are back on your screens again for another episode of the Red Sea podcast. By now, you know who I am, Tiago's Father 89, and I am joined by my wonderful team, SS the Southern Scouser, and Courtney B is back on our screens again. Guys, how are we doing?
Yeah. Good. I feel a lot better after United have just dropped points after a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if that could make me feel better because we were absolutely shite against Arsenal. But every cloud, I suppose, every cloud. And the wonderful, the most technical, the magician is back in the Premier League with an absolute fucking bang. 1 assist and a goal against Manchester United. It's just giving me like old school vibes. Yeah, he's just giving me old school vibes when he was just running an absolute mock on David De Gea anyway. So he's used to it. Obviously, De Gea's had a 4 or 5 year break of Coutinho slapping goals past him. And in the first time he plays him, once again, boom, another goal. Welcome back to the Premier League, Philip Coutinho. And look, I want to start here before we get into the Brentford preview, just really, really quickly. And I'm going to go around the room and put all the sentiment to fucking one side because I'm sick to death of it. I'm sick to hearing the bullshit about, oh, he faked a back injury and left the club. I'm not being funny. If Barcelona came calling for you, you'd probably do the fucking same. So let's be open. Let's be very, very clear about something here, yeah? When you look at the performance against Arsenal in the Cup against 10 men, we talk about the referee killing the game. It killed the game for Liverpool. We are lacking creative options in the forward positions and from midfield. No Sadio Mane, no Mohamed Salah, Thiago out injured. Where in the hell is the creativity coming from? Who is going to unlock a defence to allow us to actually get near the goal? And more importantly, who's going to put their shooting boots on? Because Minamino has got me fucking rattled after that. Surely bringing in Coutinho on a 6-month loan would have done the job. Like, if you look at how he played in the 20 minutes that he got against Manchester United, he changed the game. He was creative. He wanted the ball. He was getting into positions. He was cutting through the United defence. Now, United are shit. Yes, we know that. But equally, so are fucking Arsenal. So it tells me that we've missed a trick.
I said it, didn't I? On our last show, I was like, what we're doing is fine to pass up on players and say, oh, we're not going to sign him for this reason, for that reason, but we're not signing anybody. So, it's when something falls in your lap, yeah, an ex-player, he didn't leave in the right kind of way, but, it was 4 years ago. We're looking right now, the way FSG run this club, it's on a shoestring. It's, sell to buy, and can we find a little good deal here? Can we get a little £7 million signing of Minamino in January? If he does a job, great. If he doesn't, never mind. This is a free transfer, 6-month loan, half the wages, if that. See what happens. Like Courtney said off air, I think it's £33 million to make it permanent if they want to at the end of the season. If he plays like he did for the last 20 minutes in that game, then they've got an absolute steal, haven't they? So, yeah, I said as soon as I saw him on the move, it's been Coutinho back to Liverpool links for the last 2, 3, 4 years. Finally, it's happened. He's come back to the Premier League, and it's like he's never left.
Yeah, I agree. He's come back with an absolute bang. Courtney B, talk to me. How are you feeling about this this issue? Not necessarily, and I don't want this to necessarily be a Philip Coutinho thing, because this isn't just a Philip Coutinho thing. This is an issue that we've got, and we've had it for a while. The lack of creativity when Salah, Mane, and Thiago are not in that team, I think it's just a case of where's the supply coming from, and who's sticking it in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, it's that final third, because against Arsenal, we was on top the whole game. Like, it's ridiculous. And that miss from Take was literally like, I was in the crowd and I was just like, what have I just seen? Like,
yeah, because you were there, weren't you? You were there, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I was just like, I was fuming. I feel like when Curtis Jones came on, though, it did change it all a little bit. I'm hoping it's going to be a bit of a kick up the arse for them. That just isn't good enough. That we do need to be creating those goals, not missing the chances when we have them, because that's what cost us it. If we'd have took us chances when we had them, we would have won.
Yeah.
With Coutinho, yeah, I get it. Like, he's come back with a bang. It's his first game, though. Everyone can have beginner's luck when they first come back. Do you know what I mean? He could put in an absolute shift today. Next week, he could have an absolute stinker. The way that he left, the fact that with the whole Klopp thing, you know, staying, they'll build statues of you, so on, and he still left. For me, I'm a bit sentimental. I think you know that anyways. I'm quite sentimental in terms of players. Like, with him doing that, I don't know. I feel like, for me, I want a player to live and breathe Liverpool. Like a Salah. I want to finish my career at Liverpool. I love Liverpool Football Club. That's what I want. And didn't get that from him. And I just feel like it kind of be a bit of a case of, I feel like I'm a bit too proud to have took him back anyways. It's a bit like putting his tail between his legs. And I just feel like I wouldn't have done it personally. But I'm glad that he performed like he did today just because it's against United.
Yeah, and I think that's the case that we're looking at, is that sentiment, you know, strong to be wrong. You know, what will the fans think? Oh, we can't be seen to be taking him back. We can't be seen to letting our guard down. We're in need. Let's be honest. We're in need. We're in desperate fucking need, because like Barker Senior says, we're only missing them for 2 Premier League games. I understand that, and I appreciate that. But let's be very, very real here. Let's look at the landscape of the league at the moment. Manchester City just went out and beat Chelsea 1-0. They're 13 points clear. What are we playing for this season? Let's be very real. And I'm not defeatist because I believe in my team. But what are we playing for this season? Surely it's the cup competitions. Surely it's League Cup. Yeah. Surely it's FA Cup. Surely it's Champions League now. If we're being realistic, that's where our expectations are at. That's where we're looking at actually getting some success. Because I have to say, the league is looking further and further and further away over the horizon, and pissing off into the sunset, because the teams that we should be beating, and this leads us very, very nicely on to Brentford, we haven't done that. And we haven't done that because of lack of the creativity, because Thiago wasn't available in the last Brentford game. We lack that creativity. Wasn't able to get the supply to the front players. So FSG / Liverpool / Jurgen Klopp, because he's complicit as well. And I'm not calling the manager out because I love Jurgen Klopp, but he's complicit in this. We have to address the lack of creativity when our big game players are away or are injured. We cannot continue to go into games hoping that a goal is just going to drop into our laps. And do you know what? Fuck it. When a ball does drop into our laps, we head it into row Z. Is that ball even come down from Taki yet? I wonder. So let's get into the Brentford preview. Let's talk everything Brentford. SS, hit us with the recent head-to-heads.
Yeah, so there's not a lot. We've only ever played them once in the Prem, which was obviously this season, early doors, free draw. And it kind of links onto what you were saying there, because when we come against these teams that come to defend, if they've gone down to 10 men or they're just coming for a draw, or we go to their place, we always blame there's no creativity, that it's a low block, it's hard to get through, and you can't just say, oh, Thiago's not available, so because he's very rarely available, that's the excuse. And for some reason, the only way that we seem to score any goals is when we don't seem to go gung ho, like a original Klopp game, and we end up, drawing 2-2 or drawing 3-3. And for some reason, we've lost that kind of champions, edge that you can go and get 2 or 3 goals against teams, but keep it tight at the back as well. We seem to have lost that. It seems to either be really hard grind of a 0-0 and we can't break the team down, or if they do come out at us, we look dodgy in defence. And that's exactly what it was last time we played Brentford, wasn't it? We scored 3 really good goals, Jota, Salah, and especially Jones as well. Thought we'd won it with that strike, but Brentford just kept coming back at us, and really we were very sloppy. All 3 Brentford goals at their place was poor. I watched the highlights again just to refresh my memory from that game. But yeah, it was really disappointing. It just looked so open. Players like Van Dijk had a really bad game. Alisson didn't cover himself in any glory either. So there's not too much head-to-heads. But yeah, the last time we went there, we weren't great. We scored 3 goals, but we let 3 sloppy ones in as well. So will we see a similar game tomorrow? Will it be open again? Because Brentford aren't the type of club to just park the bus. They are going to try and have a go. They are going to try and score a goal. So there will be chances, there will be gaps, but do you back us to keep a clean sheet in that kind of game as well? Because, Chelsea have come back, Brighton have come back. I think Brentford, are going to have a really good go as tomorrow. And some of the strikers they've got, and Buemo and Wissa and Tony are always good for a goal.
I totally agree with you. I honestly think that we're there for the taking. Coming off the back of that result against Arsenal, we are definitely there for the taking, because ultimately we're not sure. We look very blunt going forward. Like there's no teeth there. There's nothing there that, like you said, scares oppositions. So I am definitely concerned. I mean, Courtney B, what's your thoughts? Are we going to put in a resilient performance against Brentford? Bearing in mind we are at home, playing in front of the Kop, playing in front of Anfield. It's Brentford's first trip to Anfield in the Premier League. Are they going to get the shock of their lives, or are they going to lap it up? Are they going to relish it? Because, they could go into that game and play with total freedom, total confidence, thinking, boys, this is a day out. This is a big scout. If we can get something here, then, it could get the bounce on our season.
See, I think when we last played Brentford, they were going through good form. At the moment, not so much. They're not on good form anymore. They seem to have just dropped off. So that I'm a little bit more confident about. But I do always worry against the teams that go to defend. They go to get that 0-0. They don't go to win the game. They don't expect to win the game. And I feel like that's when we struggle at when we go against a side that goes down to 10 men. They stick 10 men behind the ball, and we always struggle to break them down. We always play better against teams that come to play, because that's when we find that space in between and getting behind the counter attacks. That's when we play our best, when teams come to play and come to try and get the 3 points. So it does always worry me when we play against sides that are happy to just get a 0-0 and get out. They just don't want to get battered. So that's always what worries me with Brentford. Yeah, the game on Thursday, not ideal. I'm hoping that off the back of that, they might have a bit of oomph behind them. That we take our chances, that we create chances. Because I think first half, did we even have a shot? Did we ever have a shot? Did we have a shot on target?
One shot, Jones, wasn't it? Second half.
Yeah,
that's abysmal. That's absolutely abysmal.
Against 10 men.
It just weren't, and I feel like the players, though, they weren't playing the best. Like, I don't think Trent had a very good game.
No.
I feel like when he came off, it did change a little bit. I feel like we were getting more balls in. I feel like we're just a bit sloppy going forward at the moment, and I hope that Klopp can get a handle on it. But yeah, hopefully not, because Brentford aren't going for a good patch at the moment either. They got tanned like 4-1, didn't they, against Southampton?
Well, let's look at Brentford's recent form, because 20 games played in the Premier League. The last 5 games, we're talking about a loss, win, 2 losses back to back, and then a win in their last couple of games. So the form guide isn't great for Brentford, but they've been resurgent. They've dug their heels in against us, and they've got some rewards. Subsequently, when we look at Liverpool's form, last 2 games we've won, postponement, loss, postponement. So our form in the Premier League isn't terrible. But the worrying state of affairs is that we have 2 games in hand over Manchester City, and they're currently a hell of a lot of points clear. So we've got to do something to stop this slide. And I know that you said about players being sloppy, and I think this brings us nicely onto the elephant in the room, the conversation that no Liverpool fans really want to have, the conversation that we seem to be avoiding, the topic which seems to keep on dividing opinions and it gets swept around the carpet, which is Jordan Henderson. The performances of late have been uncharacteristic. I want to say that he's tired, but then I can't say he's tired because he's had time off. He's had a week off here and there. There's been postponements. Is it rhythm, or are we seeing a decline in Jordan Henderson? Are we going to have to change the way that we play in order to protect Jordan Henderson and for him to still be a fixture and figment in this midfield? I shout out Top of the Cop because Roy from Top of the Cop done an absolutely fantastic piece on why Liverpool should potentially change to a 4-2-3-1. So big shout out to you, Roy, because I watched it and I agree with a lot of what he said. The personnel in the midfield is starting to age. SS, I'm going to come to you. Are we witnessing, after signing a contract, the decline? And I hate to say it. Is it just a blip in form, or is it that Jordan is on the decline?
I personally don't think he's on the decline. I think we've seen Robertson have a dip in form. He had a couple of games out of the team and, came straight back in and is looking much better again. So I don't think Henderson's, dipping permanently. Yes, he's not been his absolute greatest form in the world, but he needs some help in there. How many midfielders have we really got to come in and make as much of an impact as a Jordan Henderson? We rely on him so much. And when he's not there, it does show. We do miss Jordan Henderson when he's not in his team. But, the Milner, Fabinho, Henderson midfield trio is too passive. It's never worked. That's the sort of midfield you want when you're holding on to something. If you're 4-3 up in the Champions League in the second leg, that's the midfield you want. That's not the midfield you want to try and win a game when you're behind or when it's 0-0. So for me, I agree with some of the comments. I think Milner is the one that really shouldn't be starting games anymore. But the problem is Thiago, Jones, Keita, they've been missing. They've been out of form. Ox as well, up and down. The midfielders needed reinvigorating. Let's be fair. It's needed some new blood in there. And Elliott was a good start in the beginning of the season. Jones came in when Elliott got injured, and then he has been missing through injury. And the other ones are just never available. So we do need to start looking at that position because you're right. There are aging players in there. Namely Henderson and Thiago. So I think Henderson's fantastic. I think he'll bounce back. He's the leader of this team. We wouldn't have won anything that we've won without him, and I truly mean that. But Henderson, Fabinho +1. That's what we've been missing ever since Wijnaldum left. And I'm not going to go into the whole Genie debate, but Thiago has not replaced him in terms of games. He's not slotted into that position consistently. We're missing a young, energetic third midfielder to complement the likes of Fabinho, to complement the likes of Henderson. And I don't see us ever playing a 4-2-3-1. I think the number 10 position is a bit of a dying breed, especially when our fullbacks are so creative. But we need, if we're going to play a 4-1-2-3, which we've been so successful in, we do need to find that third midfielder that's going to be consistent, that's going to be box to box, and it is going to complement Henderson and Fabinho, and link that midfield three to that front three, because that is really what we've been missing for the last couple of games.
You made some good points in there, but I'd like to point to Bayern Munich under Jupp Heynckes. 4-2-3-1 was their game. Thiago at the base, along with Martinez, every now and again. And when that position was vacated, Philipp Lahm, who was the king of auxiliary fullbacks, dropping into that position, like we're starting to see Trent do, to try and occupy that midfield position. It works an absolute treat, and Bayern were very, very, very successful in doing it. Now, I'm not saying that Liverpool necessarily have to go to a 4-2-3-1, but I feel like we need to find another way of playing. Now, Barker Senior stolen my thunder. We'll bring the comment up. is this our young, energetic midfielder that we're looking for from within? But I don't want that to be a reason not to go into the market, because it almost seems like, yeah, but we've got him coming through, so we don't need to go and buy someone. And you and I had a back and forth conversation about this SS in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, we did.
And
Yeah.
I was beating that drum, but I went away from that and thinking, no, we're Liverpool Football Club. I left that conversation thinking, no, like, that's not right. We're Liverpool Football Club. Surely we should be looking not to enter the market for the sake of it. And I stand by my comments about there being no real value in the market, but we should be able to unearth that value in the market. There was a fantastic comment in here as well, which I'd like to bring up again. Bar Casino, thank you for your contributions. Bellingham, another fantastic comment in here again. Bar Casino, thank you for your contributions.
Should take him on instead of me.
Yeah.
Let's get him in.
Yeah, 100%. I honestly think that everything that, SB said there is right. It's 110% right, because the midfield is all turning of age at the same time. Thiago, 30. Henderson, 30. Fabinho, 28, nearly 29.
He's not that old. He's only like 26.
Fabinho, are you sure?
He's not 28.
Oh, let's check it, because I think I might be right here, boy. Born in 1993.
I apologise.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was younger than that.
No, and this is what I'm saying, guys. We should be 28, and he turns 29 this year. Yeah, 1993, baby. That sounds young.
Yeah, I was quite younger.
It's because you're an 80s baby. That's why. It makes you feel young. You're a 90s. Oh,
only just.
I'm 1998.
Oh my god! How?
So I wasn't the only one.
Oh god! But this is what I'm saying. He's 28, turning 29 this year. Now, I'm not saying that players tail off at 30. They don't, because we've seen the likes of Ronaldo play well into his 30s.
Ronaldo's playing out a great example at the minute. Well, he's an absolute shocker at the minute. They're playing better when he's not on the pitch.
He's 37. Give the man some slack. He's 37 and played at the highest level of the game from his late teens right the way through to his late 30s. The longevity is unreal. We've seen the same. We've seen the same with Zlatan. The longevity is unreal. Yeah, Messi doing the same as well. You see in other players, Milner, for example, playing well into his mid-30s. So I'm not saying that it's not possible for these players to do this, but they need some help. And I feel like we need to address the midfield issue rapidly, because it's worrying me. It is really, really worrying me.
What we're doing, we need to avoid this, because we're turning into this, let's hold on to this great group of players that we've got. They're all going to be old, but then we're then going to be straight into relying on 18, 19, 20-year-olds. We've got no one in between. We need to start signing these prime players.
I think we will. I think in the summer, we'll have a couple of signings, because I feel like the club know that they will be uproar if we don't sign anyone. Because it's a case of just every transfer window, Liverpool fans just sit there, just like we know we ain't expecting anything. Like with all the rumours for January transfer window, I was just like, it's not happening. It's not happening.
Yeah, I know. We're obviously don't kill our Transfer Tuesday show. Just as Courtney pops out, the ratings start to slide. No, look, I get it. I totally understand it. And look, let's jog this on slightly, because Brentford have frustrated us before. Yeah, we touched on it earlier on in the show. We know that they're going to be compact, but they can also be creative going forward. Who is Brentford's danger people? Who are going to be the ones that are going to look to hurt us? We know about Ivan Toney, but who else in that team could potentially hurt Liverpool? SS, I'm going to come to you on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some good strikers. They play a 5-3-2, so they're always going to be dangerous on the counter-attack and on the attack. They do go for it, like we've said. They don't just sit back and hope for it. And it's been quite refreshing to see a newly promoted team kind of play the same way they played in the Championship to get promoted. They've not really changed how they've played, and they've been really entertaining. And they started on fire this season. Like Courtney said, when we played them before, they were in really good form. And now, so you know, it's not going to work every week. You are going to sometimes come up against an average Southampton team and get hammered because they're going to take those chances sometimes that, you know, the way that you play in that style, you are going to give up chances. But, you know, the amount of chances we need to score a goal at the minute, I don't think they'll be too concerned. But Mbuemo and Tony at the front two. Usually you've got Wisa as well, who I think scored the equaliser against us in the first game. So I like the strikers. I like the way that they play. You know, they have the wing backs, the back three centre backs, the working hard midfielders, which is similar to what we used to have under Klopp from Brentford. But yeah, I think that the strikers really are the main danger men. You know, it sounds a bit cliche, of course, but I think realistically, they don't have loads and loads of goal scoring midfielders, not major creativity, but the way they play with their front two, they get all the chances to Tony, to Mbuemo, and to Wisa. And, you know, more often than not, they put some away. So we need to be careful because if we go toe to toe with them, you know, we went toe to toe with Tottenham, toe to toe with Chelsea, and we looked open. Yes, we scored goals, but we conceded goals as well. So we need to find that right balance because, you know, Brentford are going to give up possession. We are going to have a lot of the ball. They are going to play a back five. So, you know, there is the potential that they are probably going to start trying not to concede at the beginning and trying to hit us on the counter attack. So, you know, if they do get a goal, if they do go ahead and they park the bus with something to protect, we've seen that Liverpool really do struggle to break teams down. So I think the first goal tomorrow is huge in terms of how the game is going to go.
I totally agree. Look, there's a quick question here as well from Ravi here. Thank you for that question. What do Liverpool do to keep challenging the other big teams and keep winning titles? Oh, God. We're going to come back to that one and do the show because that could open up Pandora's box. I can assure you. Look, SS, you make some valid points in there. I think they're going to remain compact. I think they're going to sit in and I think they're going to try and hit us on a counter-attack. They're going to look at the Arsenal game as a prototype and look at the previous game as a prototype and say, look, if we remain compact for 45 minutes, 60 minutes, we then take it to them in the last 30 of the game. And we have more ball than opponents. We saw that in Arsenal, 70% possession. We had more ball. It's just the chance conversions and the shot conversion. We struggled to put the ball in the back of the net. Courtney, I'll come to you as well. And just like, obviously, I know we're saying that Brentford are going to remain compact, but who in the hell puts the ball in the back of the net for us? Because no Mane, no Salah. They're huge misses. Who is scoring the goals while those two are off in the African Cup of Nations?
Just got to hope that Bobby gets a bit of form because at the minute he's not on form. Take after that miss, I'm happy to drop him. I'm happy to put Curtis Jones in, get him on the ball. I feel like he brought a bit of energy when he came on. I feel like that's what we need. I feel like it just seemed a bit like dead because we were just passing it about, but we just couldn't break through. Not having any shots on target. That's just not good enough. And I think it's just hard at the minute because when they're away in the AFCON, you can't really rely on anyone. You just think, just get one from somewhere, even if it's a set piece and Van Dijk stuck his head on it. There's just something. I'll take anything at this point. Fab. I'll take a goal from Fab.
Yeah. Well, this is part of the problem. It's the lack of spread of goals around the team, because if Salah's not there, who else is scoring? Mane's dipped recently in terms of his goal scoring form, and as I said, Jota's done well. Jota has done well because he's second highest top goal scorer in the Premier League at the moment. So, you know, Jota has done well. But at the moment, it seems that Jota's not ticking because maybe Salah's not in the team. Jota's not ticking because maybe Mane's not in the team. Can Jota and Bobby play together? Because we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that consistently, Bobby and Jota, have we? So maybe there's not a cohesion between those two. So it's still a worry for me. And if the front line isn't firing, the midfield certainly isn't chipping in. They're not chipping in, and they haven't done for a number of seasons. You know, this isn't a new problem that we've had.
We did have a slight change though I remember a few weeks back when we were talking, and I said that it's nice to see that our midfielders are finally getting on the score sheet,
Yeah,
and then
Thiago bagging a couple. Yeah, Thiago bagging a couple. Henderson bagging. Yeah, but like you said, it seems like it's dropped off the face of a cliff. So we just look very blunt in attack, and I think that Brentford could potentially take some confidence from that. Big shout out, obviously, to Mo Salah scoring today in the AFCONs with Egypt winning 1-0. So he's there for a little bit longer. Damn it. So, do you know what I mean? Obviously, Mo, we wish him all the best. But at the same time, we need you back home, bro, because right now we're struggling.
Yeah, I think Jota's the one for me, because you look at the top goal scoring charts and he's right up there. So, you ask who's going to get us the goals. The answer is him. But for me, when he's up front with Mane and Salah, he looks phenomenal. He gets chances because there's so much going on up there. You've got two inside forwards, both cut in. And who's in the middle? Oh, it's Diogo. But when they're not there, we don't have those wide wingers. Jota on the wing with Bobby in the middle. Like you said, we've not seen it, and it's not really brought us too much success so far. And then on the right-hand side, there's nothing there. Minamino, is it Ox? Who is it? Origi playing wide? It's not good enough. It's really not. So, we shouldn't rely that heavily on Mane and Salah, but we're so used to playing with speedy inside forwards. When they're not there, we run out of ideas, which, against Arsenal just, exacerbated things and proved it. So for me, I agree. The only way we compete, the only way we continue to challenge for trophies, because, say next season, no African Nations Cup, but, there's a World Cup halfway through the season. Players could get injured. COVID's not going anywhere. So what we're going to say, if Mane or Salah aren't available, that's the end of the league campaign. That's it. If they're missing for 3-4 weeks, Man City are going to pull away by 6-7 points, and it's game over again. We have to dip into the market. I'm sorry. Cade Gordon, yeah, he's great. He's 17. Loan him out, get him some experience, bring him back when he's 19. But we cannot compete and continue to compete relying on 11 or 12 players every season. You just can't do it. They are going to dip in form. Mane's had dips in form, but he plays through it. Bobby's been missing for 6 weeks. You're stuck with the front three, no matter what the form, no matter how tired they are, how busy the schedule is. We had a good chat on it last night over the WhatsApp group. Do we bring in a right winger and move Mo central? Do we bring in a striker that actually can score goals? Is it time for Bobby to become a 10 or more of a backup option?
Well,
I think the only way is to invest, really.
Just on that SS, Salah scored today from the central position. Put that in your smoke. Put that in your
against Guinea-Bissau. Well done.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. No, look, it's interesting debate, because we've all got our own views on how we potentially see Liverpool evolving and where Liverpool have been and how they go forward. I just think that let's take Origi. When he comes in, he has contributed. And again this season, in cups, he's contributed. Yeah, in the games he's played, he's contributed. Last season, he was non-existent. But this year, he seems to have maybe discovered a little bit of form. But it's not enough. There's talk of them putting Cade Gordon through sort of bulking to try and get his strength and conditioning up. Maybe he'll undertake a similar transition in terms of his physique that we saw from Trent. Because Trent is now an absolute monster. If you look at when he came into the team in that fixture against Hoffenheim, when he scored that worldie of a free kick, he looks like a shadow of that. That looks like a shadow of how he is now. He's an absolute unit now. So if Cade Gordon can take on a similar kind of transition, and sticking with that, could we have, and Courtney, I'll come to you, could we have a scoring sensation on our hands? Because that way he took that goal the other day, the shuffle of the feet and then the finish was absolutely sublime. So he seems like he has the attributes, but can he do it as a backup maybe for Liverpool before he potentially breaks into the first team on a more full-time basis?
So I think he's quality. I think he's a really good young talent. I always get a bit scared when it's the young ones. I don't like to hype them up too soon. Because I just feel like it happens a lot where you're like, oh yeah, amazing.
Rhian Brewster vibes.
And then it flops.
Yeah.
So I'm always a bit like that about it. I get what you say, like the whole bulking and everything like that, getting stronger on the ball. It all adds to it. And Trent was quite a bit of a noodle learner when he first come through. So that probably is a good idea for him. But he's not been involved that much yet. Like he is really young, but I feel like with like Jones, Elliott, they were getting involved a lot more early on as well. Whereas he didn't seem to be getting that call up as much as them. So there's obviously a reason for that. But I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I'm not being like he's our saviour yet. No.
No, of course not. And like I said, the name Rhian Brewster springs to mind. Dominic Solanke springs to mind. Young players that were given opportunities and now subsequently plying their trade in the Championship. And obviously, I don't want Kay Gordon to suffer a similar fate. But it's very, very difficult to obviously break into that type of position when you've got one of the best in the world, Mo Salah.
I'd take him out on loan. I think that did wonders for Elliott.
So you think the next step in his career could potentially be a loan? You're not looking at him to potentially plug the gap that we're seeing at the moment with the lack of creativity? Because at the moment, I'll take anything. I'll take anything right now.
I mean, it's broken. It is broken at the minute.
I'll take anything.
Try it. Yeah. I wouldn't be mad at it if we tried it. I just think, I mean? Man, I've got nothing to lose at this point. Might as well.
Wait, see,
I'd give it a go.
But 100.
I feel like career-wise, he's playing looking on loan.
I might even put Alisson Becker up top. He seems to know where the back of the net is.
Stick Matip up there. Thing with it, he can get past them all. He dribbles past them all, just shoots it. He just can't do it.
Yeah, and Alisson, and Matip in the front three. Because honestly, that's how I feel about this whole situation right now. I will try anything just for us to get a little bit more creative. Alisson playing number 10.
I think Matip would do great, mate. I think just sort his finishing out a little bit.
But listen, if you've watched him, if you've watched some of the training videos, he can actually finish.
Yeah,
he can actually finish.
Bottom corners, I'm seeing.
Yeah. But this is the funny thing. It's like when he gets into he dribbles through everyone, does all the hard work,
and he's like lost.
Yeah, listen, he's like, shit, I'm having a nosebleed. Like, do you know what I mean? And then he just decides, oh fuck it, I'm gonna pass it to someone and just that little back pedal that he does.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, dude. Just run through and plant it bottom corner, lad. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it looks like Bamber. It reminds me a bit. Do you know Sacco? Whenever he used to get the ball, his legs would be like that. It reminds me a bit like when he's through. He's like,
don't, because you're gonna give me the heart attack feelings all over again. Because every time that man had the ball at his feet, I was like, shit, he's gonna lose it. And then your heart starts racing, and he goes into one of these little runs, and he's running with that kind of shoulder lean, and you're like, dude, just give the ball to somebody more capable.
Yeah.
But I don't get that vibe with Matip. I get the kind of feeling that, he's going to do like an Alisson Becker moment where he scores an absolute banger and everybody jumps on him. And I'm here for it because right now the creativity in the Liverpool team, for want of a word, stinks. SS, what are you saying, bro? Because it's just a worry of mine. It's a real worry of mine that that Burnley are going to roll into town. They're gonna nick a 1-0. We're gonna get a draw, and the gap between us and City gets even bigger. And we know what Manchester City fans are like. It's just like win the league at all costs. That's it. If they've won the league, they're happy. No real further aspirations. If they win the league, they're happy. Whereas for us, whilst we may not be respectfully, or we haven't challenged on all fronts for a long, long time, it's like nah. We need to challenge for the league, and we need a sustained run in Europe. And obviously now we're trying to add a sustained run in the cups to it. But we can't do it without the fucking help from our forward line or our midfielders for the forward line.
Oh, this is it, isn't it? Like you say, we're talking about, centre-backs trying to be creative and 17-year-olds coming in to make an impact. We win our 2 games in hand. We're still 8 points behind Man City. We've still got to go to the Etihad. They've won 12 games on the spin. It's not going to happen. You have to spend money. We've had too many windows over the last 4 years where we've done nothing, and now we're paying for it. We've got players that are getting more injuries than they used to, players that are dipping in and out of form. Let's be fair, Bobby's been on a slow decline for a while. As much as we all love Bobby, he's not what he was 3 years ago. He just isn't. When we got to the Champions League final in 18, I think he scored 10 goals in the Champions League. he barely scores 10 goals a season at the minute. It's, he was good against Watford, injuries, etc. But, we need our number 9 in the team scoring goals, and he just isn't at the moment. Jota's arguably replaced him if all front 4 players are fit and available, let's be fair. So, you look at, we're trying to compete with Manchester City over 38 games. Unless you spend money, you can't do it. 11 versus 11, Champions League knockout games, FA Cup semi-finals, you can get the better of them on the day. But to win a Premier League title, everything has got to go perfect. And that season that we did win it, pretty much our best 11 was available every single week of that season, bar 1 or 2 occasions. Pretty much every week they were there. So, since then we've had COVID, we've had centre-back problems, etc. And it's shown that, it's, everyone says we can't compare ourselves to Man City. They've just got unlimited budget. They've got four players in every position. But if you want to compete with them, unfortunately, that's the benchmark. That's where you have to get to. Man City aren't going to be slowing down. They're going to be signing a striker in the summer. They're looking at Erling Haaland for 60 million in his buyout clause. They're only going to get better. We need to spend 60 million in the summer just to maintain the gap that we're already behind them. If we're going to try and catch up with them and overtake them, we need to spend more than they do. They've already got a better squad than we have. They've got, arguably 11 versus 11 is pretty close. We'd probably get quite a few players in a combined 11, but over a 38-game season to compete, you need to rely on certain players at different times. You like the likes of Thiago are great. He might have a good October, and then in November he's nowhere to be seen. But Manchester City have a rotation of midfield options, a rotation of wingers, a rotation of attackers that, if they drop out in form, there's 3 players on the bench waiting to take their place, and we've never ever had that. So, unfortunately, going back to your earlier question, what are we fighting for this season? It's going to be second place, and it's going to be the cups, and I don't see that changing anytime soon unless FSG get their checkbook out.
You made some really, really good points there. And guys, just as we kind of draw to a close, obviously Liverpool head into the second round of the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Spurs and Arsenal game has obviously been called off due to sustained injuries with Arsenal and COVID. Look, let's just quickly touch on this, and this is obviously off the kind of agenda. But is there a little bit of gamesmanship going on with clubs and the whole COVID thing? Because this helps Arsenal. This game not going ahead, this really helps Arsenal. We play Brentford, and then we have to go to the Emirates and beat Arsenal to get into the next round of the cup.
We were saying the other week though that having that game postponed did us dirty.
Well, this is what I'm saying. What is the general consensus around this? And guys in the comments, please put your comments in. What is the general consensus around this? Because Kara's been very vocal about it. Gary Neville's been very vocal about it. Pundits are now starting to come out and speak on this and say, no. We need to start playing these games. And normally what happens is that when pundits start speaking on things, it galvanizes officials in top positions to go, actually, for the good of the game, our teams are, and I'm not saying that we are, but this is a very real conversation to have. Leicester seems like they've got a huge COVID issue because they've had more games called off than I can freaking count on fingers and toes right now.
4 in hand, I think.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, Liverpool have done it. United, I think United have had some called off.
Burnley only played 17.
Burnley, what is going on? And look, we're in here. We're in here in the comments going, Arsenal are a disgrace, and they sent players out on loan, and only to answer the game called off. Guys, come on, let's be fair. That was us 2 weeks ago. That was us 2 weeks ago. We were asking for a game to be postponed.
But the difference is we had about 14 false positive cases at the time we thought were positive cases. So we called off for extraordinary circumstances of a COVID outbreak. Arsenal have 1 COVID positive. They've got players at AFCON. Well, in August, they knew AFCON was coming, but they continue to loan out Balogun. They continue to loan out Ainsley Maitland-Niles. If they're that close that a suspension to Xhaka puts them into a position where they can't fulfill a fixture, you can't be loaning out players in the same month that AFCON's on. It doesn't make any sense. I watched AFTV have a right go at Liverpool for calling off that game. Yet, when the shoe's on the other foot, they're saying, well, it's only fair. But like you say, you've opened a can of worms because
that's what I was going to say.
As soon as one team calls one off for something other than extraordinary COVID circumstances, well, everyone's going to do it. Our best, we see it at youth football. My star player's away this week. I'm going to just cancel the game. That's what it's becoming. Let's just put off this game as long as we can until we've got our best team available. Xhaka suspended. Now we're in trouble. Both our right backs are out injured. Tomiyasu and whoever the other one is. Players out on AFCON. Let's see if we get away with it. Let's put a postponement in. If they say yes, great. If they say no, we're going to have to get on with it. And I see Spurs' reaction is, where's the clarity? What's the actual rule? Because taking my Liverpool hat off for a minute, Chelsea had 3 postponement requests denied. Why? What's the difference between that and Arsenal? Why one rule for one and one for the other? So I agree with Gary Neville. If you've got, or you think you've got 15, 16 positive COVID cases, whether they turn out to be false or not, it doesn't matter. At the time, if that's the fact, that's fair enough. But injuries, suspensions, and AFCON, I'm sorry, get on with it.
I think as us as a club are in, and this is why I don't think the club have really have commented on this. There's been no comments from the club that regards this, and I think we're in dangerous territory here because we can almost look very hypocritical. Because, like I said before, when this first came out, this is all shrouded in controversy. It's all very cloak and dagger. It's all very underhanded and kind of behind closed doors. I feel like we need to understand the facts more. It's only now that they're saying that Liverpool have had a number of false positives. Now, Klopp is a very honest manager in his press conferences in terms of what he says, and he drops it like it's hot. We have false positives. We were led to believe that they were potentially positives, so we've done the right thing and called the game off. But to the fickle football fan, that looks like, nah, mate, you tried it on. Do you know what I mean? That's all they're hearing is false positives. That's all they're hearing. They're not hearing potential COVID situation. If they were positive, a number of people get affected and potentially die. They're hearing, no, they were false positives, mate. No, you tried it on. So I feel like we're almost in the same kind of box or the same basket as an Arsenal right now in terms of why they've called this game off. Because
they complained about us. They put a complaint into the EFL.
That's what I'm saying. The complaint.
It's a case of, it's like a tactic now.
Yes.
I think it's like, whoever you come, they've got so many COVID people out, so they're going to be, it's like, say if someone's injured, like if your best players are injured or AFCON players, it's just another one added to the list now. So now it's like, you're looking at injuries, you're looking at AFCON players, and then you're looking at, have they got any positive COVIDs? And
I agree. I agree. And you summed it up very, very well. It's almost looking like a tactical play from teams that, okay, we're missing AFCON players, we're missing players through injury. How many false positives can we bung in? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is worrying. Where is the integrity?
There's a Premier League winter break coming up. Remember last year they trialled it and we had to play an FA Cup replay in it, and Klopp got the hump, didn't he, that it had been rescheduled. And that's coming up soon as well. But we say about we want the AFCON players back, but whether they get out the group stage into the final, they still miss the same amount of games and they come back during that winter break. So did anybody with a brain at the Premier League say, do you know what? Why don't we make the Premier League winter break during AFCON? That might be a plan rather than, the week afterwards, because then you've got, you've got COVID cases. Let's not make a bad situation worse and have have AFCON going on. If there's an option of a winter break of 2 weeks and AFCON's on for 3 to 4 weeks, would you not combine the two together for the sake of it? It just seems a little bit silly.
The thing is,
I agree.
All these ones that have been postponed, it's going to come back to bite them in the arse because they're going to have to squeeze the fixtures in somewhere.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, the games have to get played, and they will get played. There's no other way out of it. These games will get played. But the key thing for me is that is this potentially going to be a play down or kind of a use of tactical nous later on down the line, going, yeah, shit, we're missing, little Johnny boy who's our star player and he's banged 5 in the last 4. yeah, we he's out with a little knock. Yeah, shit. Let's bang a couple of false positives in. Because I've taken shit from rival fans in other groups. I've taken some real shit going, your team scum, can't believe it, so on and so forth. But the problem is because Liverpool went early and did it early, it's like, well, no, if you can do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And Liverpool being a big club, we're a huge club. Yeah. I don't care what anybody says. Respectfully to everybody else in the Premier League, we are one of the biggest, if not the biggest team in English history. So we are an easy target. And what clubs will do is they'll come for us at every fucking, clubs. What rival fans will do is they'll come for us at every possible opportunity and use it as an opportunity to turn around and say, well, if it's good for Liverpool, it's good for us. Liverpool are the darlings of the Premier League. So if it's good for them, it's good for us. And that's what I'm saying. Has that move from Liverpool, regardless of the issues surrounding it, the training ground closing, so on and so forth, has that potentially set a dangerous precedent going forward?
It's the clarity of the rules, isn't it? If Arsenal are putting in a complaint to postpone a game with one positive COVID test, that's outrageous. This is Arsenal Football Club. They've probably got 90 players signed on at somewhere in their team. We're the same. We've got, Billy Kemeta's number 90, all these players that come through with these massive squad numbers. Shows you the amount of players signed on with these teams. If your training ground has had to close and nobody can come in and train because of COVID, that's fair enough. If you can submit your results of a day of testing and it's half the first team squad or more, that's fair enough. But how on earth a Premier League football match between two of the richest clubs in the history of English football is being called off because of one positive COVID test? It's absolutely outrageous. And the problem with that now they've postponed it, which I can't actually believe, is exactly what you said, TF, because, look at the teams down the bottom of the league, the likes of Burnley. Cornet's out on the African Nations Cup. The difference he makes to that team could be the difference between staying up and going down. So why can't they say next week, we're missing 3 players. We've only got 1 COVID test, but we've not got enough players to fulfill the fixture. How can they turn around and say no?
And you brought us nicely onto the part of the show, or linked it nicely into this part of the show where we're going to head into the close before we do score predictions. It is now what's good for the goose is good for the gander. The money that's on offer in the Premier League, the riches that are there, European qualification, winning the Premier League, staying in the Premier League. Yep. What's at risk is huge. It's huge. So Burnley being an example, Newcastle being an example, Norwich being an example, Southampton being an example, all those teams that are fighting at the bottom of the Premier League to stay in this league, what's to stop them exploiting this now? Because they've got players that are representing AFCON as well. They've got injuries.
Yeah,
they get a couple of false positive COVID tests.
Forced into selling Wood.
Yeah, they get a couple of false positives. Yeah, in their team. All of a sudden, fixtures start getting called off.
Yeah,
we're in a very precarious position where this is concerned, and I look forward to seeing how it plays out and what the league do about it. Transparency in terms of the rules, and transparency in terms of exactly how many COVID tests there are, because teams don't have to declare how many negatives they've got to the general public. They just have to turn around and say to league, we've got XYZ. And then that information only becomes available because the league don't share it. The information only becomes available when managers like Jurgen Klopp stand up and go, no, this is how many we've had and this is why we've had them. So it's worrying for me, is all I'm going to say.
Harry.
Right. The part of the show which I hate the most and which you love the most, SS, and I think Courtney sat on the fence. And because of that, she's going to go first. Score predictions.
I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool.
Okay. 2-1 Liverpool. SS.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, it's about that first goal. If Burnley score that first goal, we might be able to scrape a 1-1 draw because they're going to be defending it. But if we get that early goal, we've just got to hope that we can keep Brentford out and we don't have to go quite as gung-ho maybe as we did away to Brentford. So I'll hope more than expect a 1-0 win, because I don't see us scoring more than we have to. We're not in that kind of form where we're going to blitz someone 3 or 4-0. We know we have to win. 1-0 is enough. let's hope we can just
Very
find that one goal from
Same
somewhere.
though, if it's 1-0, we're going to be sat on the edge of our seat. It'll be awful. Not
Yeah.
having that goal cushion there is awful.
I can't see us scoring any more than one goal. So if Brentford score, it's a draw. If at best, but fingers crossed we get the goal first, and we can see out a 1-0, maybe a Diogo Jota header like last time, but maybe a Trent cross or something like that. I don't really see any other way of scoring a goal.
0-0.
Oh, even worse.
0-0. And I can see another Arsenal performance where their goal is under absolute siege, but we just can't convert. So I'm going with 0-0. Guys, get your score predictions in just while we discuss the starting lineup. Score predictions in the comments for me, please, as well. A little bit of housekeeping before we close. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to the Red Sea podcast. Got lots coming up next week, including our Transfer Tuesday show. So, starting line up. What are we saying? I think personally, and I'll start with this. Trent, Konate, Van Dijk, Tsimikas or Robbo. I'm going to go Tsimikas because I think Robbo obviously plays against Arsenal, so I'm going to go Tsimikas for this game. Personally, in the midfield, Henderson, Fabinho, Ox. I think Ox plays, and up top, obviously Jota and Bobby. But who's the third? I would have said Jones, but who then goes wide right? Does he play Firmino wide right? Because Firmino can play there, but does he play Firmino wide right, Jota central, and Jones left?
Can't see that happening. Because
Jota can't play right. Well, okay, say can't. I've never seen him play wide right. Or I don't remember seeing him play wide right unless it's a tactical switch in a game. I don't remember seeing him play wide right. So Jota's either going to play on the left or centrally. So I can't. Again, I can't see Jones playing wide right. So who plays there?
I think he goes Jota left, Bobby middle, Ox on the right in the front three with a Jones, Hendo,
in the
midfield.
It's a good shout. That is a good shout. Defensively, talk to me. What are you saying?
Yeah, what you said, really. I think Tsimikas is a good shout because we only played Thursday night and Robertson played, so there's no reason Tsimikas couldn't play in this one. We only have one right back, so that sorts that out. And I think Matip played against Arsenal, did he? I've tried to put that game out of my memory pretty quickly. So yeah, Konate maybe coming back in again would make sense. I don't think the back four, Robbo or Tsimikas, etc., Konate or Matip is a major concern. It's just, how do we score? How do we be more creative? So yeah, I think Ox and Jones from the start, rather than Milner and Minamino, is the two changes I'd like to see.
Yeah, I agree. But you say we ain't got right back. Neco Williams did an all right job. I think.
No.
The ball was getting into the box. I don't think Trent was really pumping anything in.
No, look, no disrespect to Nico because he did have a good game. Only Banner really did have.
I don't think he'd start a Prem game though, would he?
No, do you know what?
We do have a right back.
Yeah,
not one that's going to start over Trent is what I kind of.
No, I did Nico dirty there. He did all right in the Arsenal game. To be fair, I'd rather have him in the fucking front three. So take Ox out, put Nico in. No, honestly,
because we played him up there.
Yeah. And he did well. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So put Nico in the front three, the fuck off Ox into the midfield or the stands. But I think wherever he plays, but Jones has to play. Wherever he plays, Jones has to play.
Yeah, we can't see another MHF midfield, can we? Because it's just too passive, too boring. And we're at home to Brentford. We need a goal. We got to go with creativity. And Jones and Chamberlain came on way too late against Arsenal in the cup, didn't they? So
I don't necessarily think it's the creative. No, Jones is creative, but he's the only player other than Thiago who can somewhat, and I say somewhat, dictate the pace of the game.
Yeah.
He's the only other person in the squad that can control the rhythm of the game. Jones wants to be a conductor, yeah, but he's a different mold to Thiago because Thiago is a passer of the ball. Jones for me is more of a Coutinho type, and Coutinho was able to speed it up, slow it down, whenever he wanted to. So almost set tempo in another way. And it took me a while to kind of work that out about Jones because I was always like, he's trying to be like Thiago and he's not a Thiago type. And I was like, well, actually, he's more of a Coutinho type. So he's doing it a different way. So I can appreciate his game now. But I think he has to start. He has to start. Because otherwise, we have fuck all control in the midfield because the ball just ends up, you end up getting to a basketball game. You attack. No, I attack. 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 No, get the ball, look after it, attack. Lose it, win it back, attack. So, yeah. I'm shouting Nico for right forward.
Maybe Taki will get the nod again.
Oh fuck no. Not in the Premier League. Not in the Premier League. Not after that. No, do you know
Limited
what?
options in the minute.
Here's a deal. Here's a deal. Klopp says to Taki, go and find the ball that you leathered. Yeah. And then you can start. Go and get me that ball back. Go and get me that ball back.
I think it's in Würzburg on a one-way ticket. That's where it is.
I would have finished that.
Fucking Taki walking around Stanley Park with a torch and looking for the ball.
It went on that plane. It's heading to Austria. It's just in there.
You can just imagine him like poking out of a bush, looking for the ball.
Never mind. We only had Erling Haaland to choose from when we signed him, didn't we? At the same club. Never mind. Different universe and all that.
Yeah. Do you know? I like Taki. I'm not trying to disrespect him. I like Taki. I think he's been given a hard ride, but I do like Taki, and he's contributed in the cups. But that will go down as one of the fucking most horrendous misses that I've seen in a Liverpool shirt. From anyone, let alone him. And Divock Origi's one from last season when he hit the bar against Wolves. But yeah, never mind. Guys, that brings us to the end of the show. We have been on your screens, iPad screens, laptop screens, TV screens, mobile phone screens for an hour talking about why Liverpool need to invest in forward players and how Brentford are going to draw with us. But the positivity amongst the group is there, as you can see. We are very, very positive heading into this game. SS, what have we got coming up next week? Monday is AFCON watch, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So we've got the 0-0 between Mane and Keita. Not too much to discuss, but Mo Salah getting the winner today. So we've got AFCON watch. We've got Transfer Tuesday. And other than that, I think it's just previews and Red Sea full times, which we're always here the night before a game and, straight after for some instant match reaction. And I need to put together Courtney's match day at Arsenal.
By the way, I was pissed. I was pissed.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I had to drown my sorrows.
I'll get that together.
You can hear me singing as well.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'll get that together and get that up.
For those of you that don't know, our very own Courtney B was at the Arsenal game, and every time we go to a game, we do a match day vlog. So making sure that you are liking, subscribe, set your bell notification just so you see that, because it's going to be epic. Because our Courtney loves a drink, and with that we are perfect timing. We are over and we are out.